Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Matt, and this is Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit, your beacon of freedom and the American way of life. Tune in every Mondays for a new episode as we dive into the world of liberty and what makes our country great. Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Matt here with LLP, and I hope you've all had a great week. We are back with a hot new episode coming in here today, and LLP is your home for all things normal in a world gone completely mad and off the rails and completely void of all sanity.
All sanity. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are just like us.
Maybe that's what worries me. How's your week been going?
Week has been good, man. I just got back from Missouri. We were out at, I brought my daughter out to Missouri. She was at a wrestling camp over at Perler Wrestling. Nice. So she spent the week there, and I was just there hanging out in case anything happened. Yeah, it was great. She got some training in. We got back, and now she's back in school.
I see you got your knee brace on. Did you?
You
roll yourself?
Yeah. Well,
did you get hemmed up?
Not in the wrestling academy. So when I travel, I still like to drop in and train jiu-jitsu, and there's a lot of jiu-jitsu schools around that area.
Yeah. And you go a little hard.
I met the mat enforcer at one of the jiu-jitsu academies, and we had a good time, and got a black eye, nice. A busted up LCL, and it comes with the territory, man. Like if you train jiu-jitsu and you go into a jiu-jitsu academy and you drop in, which is a normal thing, just understand that you have a target on your back. Like regardless of if you go in there to train hard or roll hard or whatnot, they take that as, you're a bait dog. They want to see how good.
They want to see what you're made.
Yeah, they want to see how good their jiu-jitsu is compared to your jiu-jitsu. Because when you train with the same people every day, everybody kind of knows the style of what someone's going to do.
You learn someone's habits.
Yeah, and you kind of understand how to combat that. But when someone new comes in, it's and it's fun. It's fun for me.
It is a challenge.
Because there's different styles of jiu-jitsu, like top players, bottom players, guard players, wrestlers. Yeah. We
should do a whole episode about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, man.
Eventually.
Oh my God.
I've always been curious to learn about it. And I do want to come up there and spar with you guys, but all this powerlifting I'm doing, I'm strong, but I worry that I'm going to hurt myself and it's going to set my powerlifting back.
You will probably need to work a little bit on your flexibility.
Yes, that is absolutely one of my problems is my flexibility.
It's a big part of jiu-jitsu.
I do need to do more calisthenics and just really try to limber up more. We'll talk about that more in time, but I do want to get back to that at some point. We should talk about jiu-jitsu at a more, holistic level.
Yeah, man.
So today's episode, we're going to be talking about why it's important to carry a gun daily. Now, you would think that this is a very simple topic that is just, driven, the dead horse is driven all, into the ground left and right. But it's crazy. In light of recent events, there has been some shootings lately, and there's been, lots of violence around and things like that. And sometimes it forces one to reassess, what exactly is my defensive posture in everyday life? What does that mean to me? How can I be ready? How can I be capable? How can I make sure that throughout my everyday life that I'm not a liability to someone else and I'm not a liability to my family? And most importantly, to protect your wife, your kids, the people around you, and ultimately go on living. And, danger is everywhere. Evil is everywhere. And we have to be ready. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to go into probably a little bit of detail on constitutional carry and reciprocity and things like that, traveling with guns, which we've talked a little bit about that in previous episodes, but this is going to be pretty much all about carry, what we carry, what ammo we use. We're going to go into a ton of detail about how we carry guns and what defensive posture means to us. And also, we're going to talk today about some guns we keep in our car, road guns, which we have touched on in the past. But my loadout is always kind of changing. And I want to talk a little bit about medical as well, because I think it's important to make sure you've got adequate medical. If you're prepared to put a hole in another person, you need to be prepared to patch a hole as well. And chances are, in everyday life, if there is some tragedy or shooting or whatever, it could even be a freak accident, you're going to be probably have a much more higher chance of needing to patch somebody up than you will be to actually hurt someone. And I know that's not the cool answer everybody wants to hear all the time, because everyone always pictures themselves, John Wicking it out or whatever. And I get that, I suppose. But really, the boring reality is that responding to a medical emergency is probably going to be a much greater possibility than having to put a hole in someone. I'm just telling you the truth. Before we get started, I would like to thank the first sponsor of today's show, and that is Allegiance Gold. You ever notice how gold doesn't get much airtime until the system starts to shake? Well, here's what nobody's talking about. Starting July 1st, Basel III global banking rules classify gold as a Tier 1 asset, the same level as cash or U.S. Treasuries. This is huge. It means that central banks will now treat gold to the highest quality form of capital. They're not doing this just for fun. They're preparing for something. If gold is good enough for the world's most powerful banks and governments, why wouldn't it be good enough to protect your retirement? This may be the movement we've all been waiting for. Gold could reach levels we've never seen before. Whether you've got $5,000 or $5 million to safeguard, now is the time to act. I've seen plenty of gold companies advertise and come and go, but I chose to partner with Allegiance Gold because they actually care. They care about their pricing, integrity, doing the right thing by their clients. They make it simple for you to move part of your 401k, Roth IRA, or savings into real physical gold and silver. As a veteran, you may even qualify for up to $5,000 in free silver. Call 844-790-9191 or visit allegiancegold.com/veterans. It's smart, secure, and simple. Call 844-790-9191 and get your gold on.
Absolutely.
And then when you get your dividends and you make your money, then you can go buy more guns and ammo.
Yes. So I know you touched on a couple of things that we want to go over with the show.
Yeah.
And I mean, the main part of, the show, or the title, like why you should carry a gun daily or a firearm, is just, for me, is that you don't want to delegate that safety or that task to somebody else. And, we're here in Atlanta, Georgia, and there was a shooting at the CDC maybe yesterday or the day before. And to think that you can, well, one, I'm absolutely positive that the CDC building doesn't allow you to carry firearms. Funny how that works. That, when people do decide to target buildings, they target buildings where they know that people won't be carrying firearms. And I think the only, I would say, victim was a police officer, unfortunately, that was responding to help. Now, this guy had 500 rounds of ammunition, and he was shooting out all types of windows. And imagine if just 3 or 4 people in the area had concealed carry weapons, and they were able to utilize those weapons. And he ended up walking into a CVS and offing himself like a coward. But I'm almost positive that if somebody or multiple people would have had the means to defend themselves, then that absolutely probably wouldn't have made it that far. But what are some of the things that, some of the issues and these are things that pop into my head when you run into that scenario? So let's say you're in an area and, somebody starts shooting. Your first instinct depends on who's with you. Like, I'm usually with my daughter. So I have to first and foremost think of her. Like, what am I going to, I can't just like run off and be Johnny Hero over here and leave an 8-year-old girl like standing by herself to like fend for herself and try to find. No, my first responsibility is to get her to safety. And you have to do that. You would, obviously do that by protecting her with the firearm. You're going to pull the weapon. If that person is in front of you or in your vicinity, yeah, you can engage the target. But here's what nobody ever talks about. What happens when multiple people pull firearms? Now who is the active shooter or the shooter at that point? Nobody knows. This isn't like a battlefield where we all have uniforms and we can look at you and say, oh, that's the bad guy. To everybody else, if you're in let's just say, for example, you're in a food court or you're in a CVS pharmacy and you have 3 dudes that have firearms and we all pull our firearms because we hear shooting, and we come around that corner and you see old buddy with a handgun. You're like, I don't know if you're the guy or if you're someone that's going to shoot the guy.
Yeah.
Now we have 3 random people, all with firearms, trying to engage who knows who. Like, you don't know. And then now you have the police coming in. And the police are like, oh, we got 3 guys. It's like that Spider-Man meme where everybody's kind of like pointing at each other. Like, hey.
How do you know the bad guy is not going to try to go, it was him?
Yeah. Or the police look at you like you're the bad guy because they don't know they're rolling up on a hot scene. Like, they just know adrenaline's pumping. People are getting, like, guns are shooting. So these are all things that you have to consider when you decide to do that. So I don't know, maybe it's because it just recently happened, so it was fresh in my brain. And I was even listening to it on the radio, like on the way here. I was like, oh man, that's so crazy that, you know, this is what we're going to talk about. And then like all this stuff happens. So those are considerations. Like, when you're carrying, is your responsibility to get yourself back to your family. Like, I always wondered, when people say, oh, I would go in and get into an extended firefight to try to find this person and fight this person and save other people.
Would you?
Yeah. Would you though? Like, I'll be straight up with you. My responsibility is to my family. I'm not running into a building to save someone that, like, I don't know. I could get shot myself by someone that's trying to save their family. Imagine me coming around a corner and I run into an exact copy of myself with my 8-year-old daughter, and I see you running into a building with a firearm. Yeah. I'm probably going to shoot you.
And you better believe that those police want to go home to their families.
Absolutely. Everybody wants to go home.
And they deal with all kind of crazy things every day. So they're already going to be on edge because their job every day requires them to deal with, you know, the sort of lowest common denominator of society. I mean, as much as it sort of pains me to say this, because I know people know my views on, you know, some things regarding law enforcement, but the truth is we choose these people, we delegate these people to deal with the bullcrap of society that we don't want to deal with. So it's, you either have to be responsible for everything all on your own and just let society self-regulate like Wild West style, or you have to say, okay, here's the person we delegate to handle this task. Okay, sometimes they don't get it right. Sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes the wrong person gets shot. Sometimes someone gets shot when they're not supposed to. But the reality is you're not the one that has to make that decision. So are you going to defer that to someone else and take it off your plate so that you can go about society and not have to worry about it? Okay, a mass shooter shows up. You simply call someone to come deal with it and go about your day and hide and get away and live on to fight another day and simply, you know, pawn that situation off to another person. Now, okay, are there people that are designated for that? Well, soldiers are designated to fight wars. They go and they, you know, do things. Police are designated to go and handle those sorts of situations so that society doesn't have to. And I think we view that as a way of society being civilized. We view it as a form of civilization when we have designated people to deal with problems. Firefighters put out fires, soldiers fight wars, etc., etc.
Or pick up garbage.
Correct. Yeah, the garbage man picks up the garbage. Hey, someone has to do it. So everyone's got a job. Everyone contributes something to society. And I think the way that we look at a civilized society is that those are inconveniences, like when we get pulled over and get a speeding ticket or something, which happened to me the other day. I haven't gotten a speeding ticket in like almost 10 years. And this young buck GSP officer pulls me over, and his guy is still wet behind the ears. I mean, he could not be a day over 22 or 23, real young guy. And, you know, we're just shooting the breeze. It's cool. Like, you know, he said, well, I had to peel around in the middle lane to come get you. And he said, I saw you from the other side of the road. I wasn't going to argue semantics. I mean, I knew I was driving fast. I didn't think I was driving as fast as he said I was. Anyway, the point is, we are inconvenienced by these things. And we think, well, oh God, we got pulled over for speeding. You know, you think, well, why should I have to pay society money or pay the government money for me speeding? Well, the truth is, you know, is there a victim there? No. Could there be a victim? Maybe. But we're talking a very different sort of environment than an active shooter situation or a situation where we're talking it's come to blows. You know, someone's going to get shot, right? Okay. To backtrack to what you were talking about, okay, if you were presented with a situation where you were, you know, in an environment and a shooting takes place, and, you know, John Lovell and I, it's funny, Lovell and I, we have a little bit, somewhat of a varying view on how to handle these sorts of things. You know, he's a SEAL or was a SEAL, so
no,
or he's a Ranger.
Ranger, yeah.
So you know, Rangers and SEALs, all those sorts of folks, you know, they have a different mindset when it comes to seek and destroy. I mean, that they're very well trained to kind of go do that. I mean, that's what they do. They're the dogs of war. We send them in and they do things, you know, just right. But my view has always been kind of similar to yours where, okay, if I'm in line at a 7-Eleven and I've got my EDC on me and the guy in front of me pulls a gun and tries to rob the clerk, I'm going to shoot that guy right in the fucking back. I literally don't care. Like I will. If it comes to that, like if I have the strategic advantage, like he's not paying attention and he just picked the wrong time to screw up.
Yep.
I'm totally just going to shoot him.
Well, they
like,
get sometimes they get tunnel vision. Like you could be right there and he's not even paying attention. He's tunnel visioned on what his goal is to
right.
Store.
Yeah. You know, so like in that type of situation, would I shoot him? Probably so. If I'm alone, maybe my family or whoever I'm with, if they're out in the car, okay, I'll take that bet.
You wouldn't just shoot him in the leg, Eric?
No.
Just
I'll take that.
Not just shoot him in the leg.
I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet. There's no such thing as a fair fight.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that's very important to get into your mind. There is no chivalry here. There is no logic. You can't think, oh, well, I will just shoot him in the leg and wound him, or I'll hold him up, or, you know, tell him to freeze. That crap only works in the movies. Like when someone's got it in their mind that they're hell bent on violence, they're not, you cannot reason with that person. Like, especially if they're actively in a shooting environment.
Yeah.
Now, if there's shooting going on, you hear it going on, and like in the situation you're talking about, let's say it's that government building and there's already a gun-free zone, right? The last thing you're going to do is arm up and go investigate if you're hearing shots from a distance.
Yeah, no.
I think that's a good way to get killed yourself because, I mean, and again, this is where Lovell and I, we part ways, right? I'm not saying that I'm scared to go look. It's not about being afraid or incapable of going to see, but it's about like, do you really want to, confuse the situation? If the police are on the way, then they show up. Like, how do you keep yourself from getting hemmed up in that situation?
Right.
Can you deal with the situation before the police show up? Should you deal with the situation before the police show up? So see, there's all these things that come into play. So it's not about being afraid of running towards violence. Hell no. Like, we're not scared of running towards violence. I'll run towards gunfire. That's fine. But it's going to be a very specific circumstance that will merit me to do that. And again, going back to a fair fight, there is no such thing as a fair fight. If you get shot in the back, if you get shot and you're not paying attention, guess what? It happens. These situations are filled with great degrees of uncertainty. When you look at, especially, I know some of you have seen footage, helmet cam footage from Ukraine. And these guys, Russians, Ukrainians, both alike, running through these trench systems. Imagine how terrifying it is to turn a corner and there's a damn son of a bitch. It's like, does it matter if his back is turned? Does it matter if he's turned to the side? Does it matter if he says, no, stop? In that moment, do you really want to trust that person's judgment versus yours? There's no such thing as a fair fight in that moment. And there is footage of, guys trying to surrender, but, in the heat of the moment, and then it's crazy because, looking at stories from World War II, okay, this is kind of jumping around a little bit, but it's crazy how in World War II, the Australians, okay, they were notorious for not taking prisoners. They, out of all the militaries involved in that war, the Australians they shot first and asked questions later. And they got reprimanded quite a bit because, they were really bad about, they get in an engagement, no one's going to live. If they win, that the other people are out of here.
Yeah, they did.
They did not take prisoners. Now, they caught a lot of flack, and I think they improved their tactics a bit. But they were notorious for being very violent and very direct, and they fight to win. And sometimes when you fight to win, very, very bad things must happen. And you know what? there are no such things as a fair fight. And, you know, I think that that's what people have to keep in the back of their minds when it comes to this EDC stuff. If you are going to carry a gun on the regular and trust that gun to protect yourself, you also have to be in the mindset of survival. Just having a gun on your hip is not going to make you invincible. It may give you a sense of security. It may make you feel better. But do you really have what it takes to pull that gun in the moment and use it and your muscle memory not fall to crap? I mean, what if the gun has a safety? Have you practiced actually drawing your gun, taking the safety off, the fine motor skills required in the heat of that moment to actually use the gun? Have you tried just ripping it out, doing a whole bunch of cardio, doing push-ups until your arms can't even move anymore, and then try to do it, or your heart rate is humming, run a mile on the treadmill, then try it? Most people won't. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Your fine motor skills go to crap. Your judgment goes to crap. You get tunnel vision. You experience your body go into a very defensive posture that will shut down some areas to kind of pull those resources towards making you live, and survive, and that adrenaline. You know,
it's very hard to shoot with your heart rate pumping because that gun like wobbles every time your heart beats. You see that right. Muzzle flip, and you're not. It's almost like you're getting like a minute amount of recoil, and you haven't even pulled the trigger yet. Right. That gun barrel will start wobbling up and down. So a couple of things. I know, you know, obviously, like you've had Level on your channel, and like I've talked with Level.
Oh yeah,
I'd like to believe he's a super family guy. Like he's all about family. Okay. I have to believe that he would understand the difference between like a kinetic environment and a like a CCW, like non-kinetic environment. Yeah. I don't believe that he would like chase somebody into a clearer place, like a active shooter. I honestly think that he would feel more responsibility on like seeing his family, like making sure that he gets to his family.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and I think you brought up a good point.
He's a very capable guy.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I think you brought up a very good point about, you know, delegation of duty and people that carry. So when you're carrying the firearm, it will give you a little bit more sense of security. And me personally, it actually calms me down because I now have I have a responsibility. Like, hey, I can't get mad at the car for cutting me off. We don't know where this is going to go. Like we can only escalate this as far as the person is willing to escalate it to. What happens if this person gets out of the car and starts banging on my window and I'm stuck in traffic? Now you didn't put me in a bad position. I put me in a bad position, which is going to make me do something I probably don't want to do. But going back to, you know, say for example, the you know, active shooting environment, most people have to understand that your duty and your responsibility at that point is if that threat is in front of you, like you said, if you're in the store and that person is in front of you, yeah, you probably do have a duty to do something about that. But outside of that, if you have the opportunity to break contact, get back to your family, take your family with you, that is your responsibility. Why? Because I delegated my safety to myself and my family when I carry. That is I'm delegating, I'm taking upon that responsibility myself. You, Joe Schmo, decided not to do that. You did not delegate me to protect you. Yeah. So that's not my responsibility.
I mean, I also feel like it's not a cashier's fault. I mean, if a bank teller is not carrying a gun, a cashier is not going to carry a gun. I mean, if someone's got the drop on you, even if you are a cashier who's carrying a gun, if someone gets a drop on you, your ability to deploy that gun in a useful manner is probably going to be quite limited anyway. So I don't necessarily hold it against like an establishment or something.
No, not an establishment.
And I think it really just comes down to situation. You know, it's all case by case scenario of different situations that might happen. So let's backtrack a little bit and talk a little bit about our actual EDCs and the way we look at that. And we don't have to spend a lot of time talking about this because I know everyone, you know, they make a big deal about it. I'm a SIG P365 kind of guy. I mean, look,
I thought you were going to say like 3. I'm like, oh man, we just talked about this.
I love the 365 and I know SIG's been, everybody's talking about SIG and some of the, the issues and stuff, but look, my 365 is a fantastic pistol. I love it. I like the capacity. I like the size. I like the trigger. I have the 365 XL.
Yep.
I know the Macro and the X. There's been some other models that have come out. The most recent one I ever bought was the XL. I love it. It's fantastic. It is truly a great pistol. It's got generous capacity. I think the rounds are 15 round mags.
Yeah, they revolutionary.
So you're talking a gun that's way smaller than a Glock 19, but still has similar capacity, if not the same capacity as a 19. So it's got that going for it. It's nice and slim. It's got a good trigger. It disappears on the body. Now, I will add sort of an amendment there and say that I am a big fan of the Glock 19 as well. And I do carry a Glock 19 sometimes, mainly in the winter. Like if I know if I'm in a jacket over the top, I may pop a Glock 19. But carrying appendix with a 365, it disappears.
Oh, yeah.
So a 19, 365, those are really great options. Again, I've kind of gone really far back to 9mm. For a while, I was carrying 45 ACP, which, don't get me wrong, I like 45 ACP. I think it's got a lot of redeeming qualities. Basically, it's a giant bowling ball of death,
yes.
Which is great, but I like the extra capacity of the 9mm. And the modern defensive environment has changed in such a way that the follow-up shots might be very necessary, and the capacity of the firearm, having a few more rounds in the mag, could be a necessary thing. Like you said, there could be multiple shooters, there could be multiple assailants, so on and so forth. I like the ability of fast follow-up shots that I can control easily in a moment of, let's just say, stress and reduced muscle memory and fatigue and, just the crazy adrenaline rush of being in a gunfight. I think having something that doesn't kick super hard, you could follow up easy with, or let's say you're wounded or hurt, or you have to, maybe you got to hold your daughter back and you have to use one hand. A gun you can shoot one-handed, I think, is important. So that's why I do like the 9mm, because it just purrs like a kitten. It's so easy to shoot. And with the modern loads that are out there now, 9mm is a pretty good contender, especially out of a decent length barrel. I mean, if you have a 124 plus P moving out of a 6-inch 17L, you're talking some good velocity, good power.
Yeah.
There's some good bullet designs out there. Great powder choices that really, kick these 9mm loads up into the upper echelon of performance for what you get out of a 9. Cheap to train with, so on and so forth. Plenty of holster options. So I tend to kind of always go back to 9mm. I did a video on the 30 Super Carry last year, the little shield in 30 Super Carry. I like a 30 Super Carry, but again, I always go back to 9. And then I still have a Shield Plus, which is the double stack version of the Shield, and it holds, I think, 12 shots or something. So I like that gun quite well as well. But I always kind of go back to the SIG P365. I did a video on the Ruger Max 9. Now that's a very affordable pistol. I think those things cost like $280 or something, under $300.
That's crazy. That's
and
high point territory.
That gun actually shot pretty good. I was really impressed with that gun for the money. And so I guess I'll just kind of, when talking about my EDC, yes, I carry a SIG, but you don't have to spend SIG money to get a pretty decent carry pistol. I mean, I think that Ruger Max 9, a great gun. And that Shield Plus, great gun. If somebody didn't want to drop a lot of money and they wanted to buy a Micro 9, kind of like in the same vein of the 365, I would totally look at the Shield Plus as a fantastic option, or that Ruger.
It's interesting you mentioned the Shield Plus. I used to carry a Shield 2, and one of the major issues that I had was, it's a great gun. I loved it. Very ergonomic, fit the hand. I had the pinky grip on the extension on for the mag, so you could actually fit your pinky onto the grip. Without that, your pinky kind of did that little teacup where it's kind of like hanging off the end there. But the capacity was really low. It was like 7 rounds on the capacity, which, you know, to some might not be an issue. When I carried it, it wasn't an issue because I carried an extra mag with me. I used a appendix holster that carried an additional mag, so 14 rounds. Really, it's 7 plus 1. 9mm, I'm a fan. I think technology and, you know, metallurgy has come a long way, that you can get a lot of kick out of a 9mm and a lot of punching power. But the biggest issue for me was like the shield wasn't very comfortable to shoot.
I agree.
It was just
the single stack shield.
Yes, man. Yeah. It was just a very, like, it gets the job done. You point, you shoot, puts holes in things.
They're a handful.
Yeah, but they are just, man, it's like trying to hold on to a freaking honey badger, man. Like, it's like, I know people are like, oh, it's only a 9mm, but like, it just, the ergonomics of it, the way it was super snappy, like it
Slim
popped
gun.
up. Yeah.
Easy to hide.
Yeah. I mean, trust me.
I carried one for a long time.
I was wearing, you know, a tailored shirt, tailored slacks, tie tucked in. Mm-hmm. Couldn't tell. And I carried appendix on a belly band. So I was wearing basically a suit without a blazer. Mm-hmm. Couldn't even tell I was carrying. Like, it's a very, very easy gun to conceal, and even deep conceal. You wouldn't even have to go to the, what do they call it? The bodyguard. You didn't even have to take it one step further and go to the bodyguard.
That's a tiny gun.
That's a real tiny gun.
Yeah.
But the Shield 2 was definitely unpleasant to shoot. So I found moving up to the, I guess, compact size, to like the Zev. I was gifted a Zev.
Yeah. That Zev is nice, man.
But the ergonomics, the weight of it makes it so much more pleasant. Like, you can actually get out there and, you know, it's got more mass. It isn't quite as easy to conceal. Let's be honest. It's like anybody that's like carrying a Glock 19 or any kind of compact, you'll see them. They're like, oh yeah, you can conceal it. You can. But you still have to be mindful of how you dress. Like, you're not I would never be able to wear like a tailored button down shirt and all that. You would see it.
Have you seen those Leopold?
Oh,
red
yeah,
dots?
yeah.
That's one of my 19s. So this is a Davidson's exclusive 19, the Nibix coating. Yeah. And then that's got some True Glow night sights on there. Mm-hmm. Well, the front sight is a True Glow, and then that rear is that loophole.
Yeah, that's neat, man.
And that's got a Viridian laser on it. I mean, that gun, it's nice. I like it.
That's nice, man.
I've got several 19s. I've got a black one that's a Gen 5. Mm-hmm. That's a Gen 3 Nibix one, which that's my favorite 19.
I like the grips.
It's kind of a dog. Yeah, that's Handle It grips. They do the... You know, good plug for them, actually. Yeah, show that on there. Show that on there. Yeah.
Those feel good, man.
That's Handle It. Yeah. So, yeah, you order those from Handle It, and you can...
the laser's on.
Yeah, nice. It's got a Viridian on it. Nice. But I love that gun. And, it's a light laser combo. Yeah. I love that pistol.
So, I mean, when you step up... that's a nice gun. Very similar.
And you have to have a holster that can handle the light. Yeah. So then you're getting a little more bulk. So that's the trade-off.
Yep.
You know.
So when you step up in size, you step up in mass, it makes it more pleasant to shoot, much more controllable. Personally, if somebody said, and I always kind of cringe just a little bit on the inside when I hear people say, I'm going to carry like the smallest gun. I'm like, that's not always the best option, because it's very uncomfortable to shoot. If you can get away with it, you probably want to step up to a compact. Now, the other issue is you see a lot of people put the crazy ninja stuff on there. Like, I'm guilty. The Zev, mag flares, like suppressor height sights, fiber optic, like it's got all this stuff, but all that stuff, it's going to print. Mag flare prints. Like, you can see it. Like, when you turn a certain way, you see it. Like, you might not see the actual print of the entire firearm, but you see a little something there.
Let me tell you something funny. One of the guys that I used to work with at Moss, he took a Glock 17. Mm-hmm. I kid you not. He took a Glock 17 and he did a grip reduction down to a 26 size frame.
Oh my God. It
was the most weird thing ever. It's but I tell you what, you know, so the Glock 26 has that little plus 2 or plus 3 or whatever it is on the bottom. I got to figure out where my Glock 26 is. I've misplaced it. I might have sold my Glock 26, which if I did, I'm going to feel terrible, because that was a really great carry gun. One of my first carry guns was a Glock 26. My first real carry gun was a Glock 26. Anyway, he took it and cut it down, and he would put the little +2 on there. And it's like, all right, the size of that 19 frame, okay, with no mag in it. All right, there's nothing coming out of the bottom. That was the vibe of it. But with the mag.
Yeah.
So, if you were to put a flat base mag in it, you'd have a little tiny, like, 2-finger grip with a big old 17 slide on it. It was the most random thing. But I tell you what, it shot good. And he was able to shoot it well, and it actually printed, didn't print. Like,
yeah, that's all that matters. Like, if it works for you.
I've rarely seen somebody take a 17 and do a grip reduction, and try to cut it down to 26.
So it was like really long with the short, with the short little grip.
A mullet gun.
Oh God.
But like the 19X, this gun. So the thing about the 19X is this is kind of the opposite sort of direction. This is a 19 slide with a 17 frame. So you get the full size frame, and look, I will tell you, with this debacle going on with SIG and all of these guns and stuff, listen, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. All right. I love you, SIG. I love you, Glock. Listen, I love SIGs and I love Glocks. And I'm not trying to choose a favorite here, but I will turn this car right around. Okay, listen. The truth is, this is the gun that the military should have went with.
Yep.
Sorry, SIG. I hate to say it. Now look, that belt fed that SIG made, 277 Fury or whatever. Now that thing is a badass freaking piece of hardware. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see Glock with no belt fed machine gun. Okay, so look, yeah, SIG can make belt feds. That rifle they did, it's great. Sure, I got no problem. I even love the SIG M17. It's a great gun. I got one right here. And what do you see on my battle belt? It's not a Glock, is it? It's a SIG. I love this gun. This is the gun that we should have went with. 100%. And I think it was a matter of price. I think SIG beat them out on pricing.
I think it was a matter of price as well as having an external safety. Glock.
Glock's never really been about external safety.
They weren't. They didn't have the external safety on it, and they were like, "Well, SIG has one," and then basically. And I'm 100% positive there was some shenanigans going on with with that whole. But we're about to find out.
Yeah,
we're about to find out.
Yep.
Because what was the latest information said that they're going. They put a whole bunch of Glock orders on hold so they could fulfill some military stuff. So that's a 17 size frame and the 19 slide. So you can see the difference. You can compare those pretty quickly. It's the exact opposite of what your buddy did.
Yes. Yes. But I love that gun. And it shoots so freaking good. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Glock triggers. I'm not the biggest fan of Glock in terms of the ergonomics, the features, the way it shoots. Like it's a staple gun to me. Like when you grab your staple gun and you got to drive a staple, you just, like that's what it is to me. Like it's a tool. It's like going to Home Depot and buying a staple gun. Like it's a tool.
Yep.
But it's very effective. You don't use your staple gun and think, oh, the trigger's hard. It's hard to squeeze it, hard to press it. No, it's a staple gun. You're driving staples. That's a staple gun. Like it's a tool. It's a tool that shoots bullets. And it's very reliable.
That's the thing. And that's why people are okay with it, because when you go out and you buy a Glock, you understand that you're buying a Glock.
Very utilitarian.
You're buying a Glock.
Gun.
But when you're buying a SIG or an HK, you're expecting a different level because of the price point. That's like, hey, I can go and buy a Ferrari, and I know that when I sit in that car and I drive it, there's a certain expectation that the car is going to perform. Whether I'm a crappy driver, whether I'm a professional driver, the expectation is I'm going to be the guy going around Le Mans in a Ferrari, all right? Because it's a Ferrari. Same thing with guns. You buy a super high, like a staccato. You buy a staccato, what is their tagline? The gun shoots itself. Now, like that's literally what they tell you. The gun shoots itself.
Yeah, imagine the expectation you have
the expectation
when you pull
has
that
already
staccato
been set.
out and take it to the range. And what if you haven't worked on your fundamentals and you're a really crappy shot? But I guarantee you, even if you are a crummy shooter, you are going to be a better shooter with a staccato.
I mean, a staccato.
It is a good claim. Like those guns are absolute bullet delivery devices. Huge shout outs to staccato.
You're going to shoot low and left consistently. You know, it's just the way it is. Like you might shoot low and left, but you'll do it every time.
I have a staccato CS. I tell you, I'm a surgeon with that freaking gun.
Dude, I am a
surgeon with that gun. And I've been talking to Staccato about trying to get some more guns out to do some work with. And I know John and Shermichael had brought down their war chest with all their random staccatos. Man. And I got to try out quite a few on the range. And I tell you, they really are fantastic pistols. They're expensive, but you do get what you pay for. I digress. We'll talk about ammo for a minute. What are you carrying in that Zev?
Critical D. So,
okay. What weight? Do you know?
No, I just whatever is the 9mm critical D. Actually, no, that's what I used to carry. Now I'm carrying Spear Gold Dot.
Gold Dots.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about carry ammo for a minute, since this podcast is sort of surrounding by EDC and carrying a gun daily, and we're going to talk about this more about kind of in the vein of 9mm, and it will just kind of be brief here, but I want to kind of cover it because I don't think it's something I've ever really talked about in other videos or other podcasts or content. Is why I choose the rounds that I do. I think a lot of people will hear someone talk about their favorite carry round and they'll go, oh, well, you're a content creator, so this company must be paying you to carry their round or something. No, I promise it's not that intricate, y'all.
Bernicki would be paying you a lot of money if that was the case.
Everyone thinks that Bernicki, everybody thinks that Bernicki pays me a ton of money to use their slugs all the time in the videos. But the truth is, I just love them. And, those slugs were not very well known like some years back, and I always felt kind of cool having them. You know what I mean? Because every time I'd break them out, somebody would be like, "Oh, there's a bear on the box." What the hell? Like, if there's a bear on the box now, that must be one substantial shotgun slug.
Yep, that's a lot of claim right there.
But I promise there is no deep underlying meaning, y'all. It's just that I love Bernicki shotgun slugs, and so. A good friend of mine, I'll tell a quick story. A good friend of mine who I value his input so much when it comes to ammo. A good friend of mine named Mike Cyrus came down. And at the time, now I think Wilson Combat bought the Lehigh brand. Lehigh ammunition.
Yes.
I think Wilson Combat owns Lehigh now, or there's some partnership there. I digress, not to go down that rabbit hole. But at the time, Lehigh was still a fairly new company and trying to, get out there and get their stuff out there. And here comes pulling up at the farm. Here comes Mike Cyrus, and he's got these big old this guy. He is absolute ballistic aficionado. This guy loves to hand load and play around and really push the limits on what he does with some of the loads and things, and experimenting with different bullet designs. So he was kind of the chief ballistician, if you will, over at Lehigh, and he brought down these big old coolers full of giant ballistic shell blocks that he made. And we had this huge day planned. I mean, we were shooting ballistic shell through automotive glass, clothing, drywall, all sorts of different scenarios that we could test these Lehigh projectiles. Well, during the test, it's crazy. Even he will tell you today that this is what we came up with, right? During the test, we tried a Hornady critical duty because in the testing of the Lehigh projectiles, we wanted to be fair. So we showed a federal HST, we showed a Gold Dot, we showed a critical duty or critical defense.
There's both. There's critical duty,
right?
And
I think
defense.
It was a critical duty.
Okay.
And it was in the automotive glass test. Okay, and in the automotive glass test with the ballistics gel, the round that performed the best was the critical duty.
It did its job.
Performed better than the Lehigh.
Wow, that's surprising.
So, well, right. But I think it's so neat that was the first time I've worked with an ammo company that, Mike looks right in the camera and he's like, hey, man, that critical duty is one heck of a bullet. I think it goes to speak volumes about a company's character and a company's ethos when they say, hey, company A, B, C, whoever, they make a great product.
Mhm.
You know, hey, this is our product. Have a look. Like, we want to show you our stuff. And here's some scenarios where it probably beats the competition. But hey, we're not afraid to show you a scenario where
we lose.
Yeah. And I think that speaks volumes for a company's integrity.
It does.
And to this day, I love Lehigh Ammunition just for that reason. And plus, because Mike is an absolute hoot to hang out with. And we had a great time. And I think John Patton came down, brought some slow-mo cameras, and we had a heck of a time. It was a fun day filming, but I digress. The point is, what I wanted to get to on my carry load is that the reason I carry what I carry is because I have tested. Trust me, y'all. I have tested these bullets a lot.
I believe it.
I've shot them in wool coats, automotive glass, drywall, wood, all sorts of things. You name it, I've tested it. I've built walls to code and shot through walls. So trust me when I say that critical duty is by far the best carry load. In my opinion, if you think you might be shooting through structures or cover or something, there might be heavy clothing involved. That critical duty is a fantastic bullet.
Yep. So
it really is.
I'm glad they are definitely
very good bullet design.
Barrier blind, as they say. Like, it's designed, and let me just.
And I like HST too.
HST is good.
Yes.
So I was carrying critical D, but that was critical defense.
Right.
So critical duty is definitely just a made to punch holes and stuff.
Yeah.
Defense has a hollow point and it's plugged. So they have that rubber like plugging inside of the front so it doesn't get fouled up with clothing or anything.
That
so
is absolutely the issue. So Federal, knowing that, they released a bullet called, I think, the Guard Dog is what they called it, or Guardian. I forget what exactly the name of it was. I think it was Guard Dog. And that's the one that has the encapsulated projectile.
Yep.
So the projectiles actually look like a solid. And when it hits, it sort of smashes these petals out and opens up and expands, but there's nothing to clog. So it expands sort of like the way a hollow point would, but without having a cavity that can clog up. So, to be fair, when we have this competition that goes on between companies, the winner is the consumer, because the consumer is going to get the best dang bullet that engineers can design and build, because they want your business. They want to make the best, and they see a deficiency in performance of their bullet compared to another company's bullet. Then trust me, they're going to go back to the drawing board. Just like Sierra. Now, this is not necessarily related to EDC. It's related more to hunting. But Sierra got a lot of feedback from companies about their hunting bullets being so good, but not quite having the accuracy of match bullet. So what did they do? They made a hunting match bullet so that match grade shooters who expect extreme accuracy can still get the good accuracy of a match king, but with the expansion and killing capabilities of a game king. I forget what they call that bullet. But the point is, if you build it, they'll come.
Yeah.
Companies will always innovate on the projectiles and stuff like that. And with these powders that we have now, we've got some hot shot powders that can really get some good velocities. And it's just really cool. I think that in the past, 9mm has sat on the wayside, Matt, because, there wasn't quite as many good options. I mean, they were okay, but nowhere near what we have now. 9mm is a wicked cartridge now, especially out of a decent length barrel.
Well, I think it's just been proven through time that, capacity is almost worth overshadowing stopping power. Because for a while, the only reason that you would carry, and this was like before all of the really good ammunition, the cool hollow points, all of the metallurgy, it was just a solid, 9mm low powered crap, but you could carry 15 of them. So you're like, all right, well, I'll carry 15 9mm rounds versus 7.45. And let's face it, the 15 9mm rounds plus the gun at the time was still lighter than a 1911 with 7 rounds.
So, we've talked a little bit about our carry guns and our lows. I mean, we probably spent a decent amount of time talking about ammo, but always love to talk about this kind of, I mean, you know me, you get me on ammo and man, I can go down the rabbit hole. I want to talk a little bit about traveling with guns. I know we did really a whole episode on traveling. Before we go too much further though, I do want to give a shout out to the second sponsor of today's show, and that is My Patriot Supply. This summer isn't just hot, it's historic. Flash flood warnings are at a 40-year high, and it's not slowing down. Towns are underwater, roads are washed out, and in every crisis zone, the same scene. Crowds standing around in line, waiting for bottled water, waiting for food, waiting for someone to show up and save them. They tell you the help is on the way, but what if it isn't? What if the help takes days or it doesn't come at all? You think the system's built to protect you? They can barely handle one emergency, let alone dozens. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be the one to get caught empty-handed. And right now, My Patriot Supply is giving away 4 weeks of emergency food. Just go to mypatriotsupply.com/LLP, that's Lima Papa, to find out how to claim your free 4-week food supply and join millions of Americans who are preparing with My Patriot Supply. Claim your free 4-week kit today at mypatriotsupply.com/LLP. That's mypatriotsupply.com/LLP. And obviously, there's a link down in the description box for both Allegiance Gold and our friends here
My Patriot
Supply. Now, one thing that I want to mention as well, there are skip to sections for these podcasts. We put timestamps down in the description box below. So let's say the conversation's dry, or maybe you just don't want to hear about that particular topic. You could feel free to look down in the description box, and you'll have convenient skip to points that give you all the subject matter of the show broken down into nice, convenient segments that you can digest at your will and leisure.
I like it. Yeah. Skip around to your heart's content.
Skip around to your heart's content, boys and girls. That's fine. We do it all. We do it all. There's always a description, good synopsis of what the show is going to be about as well. I want to talk a little bit about traveling. Road guns. I know we did a whole podcast on road guns, so we only got about 10 minutes left on the show. So it's okay to just spend a little time talking about it. But I suppose what I really want to drive home is, has my mind changed from when we did that show versus, and that was probably last year, I think.
Yeah,
we did. At least last year. It might have been a year and a half ago we did that show where we talked about, traveling with guns and things. Has my point of view changed on whether or not someone should carry long guns or shotguns or blowout kits and things? We're going to talk about medical a little bit too in this. I would say that my opinion actually has changed, but I would say that my opinion has gotten more towards where I think everyday people should go out of their way to absolutely carry some sort of a long gun in their vehicle. If you got a good way to secure it and hide it, especially obviously if you have children. I'm not saying ride around with a loaded shotgun where little Johnny can just, pull the trigger or whatever. I'm not saying that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. But if you've got a good lockable, console or something in your vehicle, it's probably not a bad idea to have like a little pump shotgun like that Kel-Tec KS7, for instance. It's probably not a super comfortable gun to shoot because it's so little and light. That bullpup that's behind you back there.
Yep.
That's a great light little shotgun that you can throw a sling on and keep it in your vehicle. Is it something you're going to go out and shoot Berniki Black Magics out of? 50 a day? No, your shoulder's going to be hurting. But for having a shotgun, at your disposal in a nice light, handy configuration that you can keep in your vehicle and hide it relatively easily, I would say it's a great option to just have as kind of like a little, you just never know.
And it looks cool, man. Like, it is a cool looking shotgun.
It really is.
Like, it's got the fixed rail on the top. It's like something out of RoboCop. And it reminds me of the RoboCop gun where the little kid like opens it up, and that's what it reminds me of.
It is a neat gun.
Yeah, dude.
And blowout kits, medical. I know we beat that dead horse left and right, but medical's super important. I would say even more important than all of these bullet delivery devices that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you run for medical?
So I have a first aid kit in the back of my car. It's nothing like some of these guys will carry, like suture kits and all kinds of. I just carry I would say it's a step above like a boo-boo kit. So it's got some large gauze. It has not a suture kit, but it's got like they're like special bandages that you put over a wound that say won't stop bleeding, but it's got like a special sealant on it, so it'll help. If let's just say you have a deep cut and you can't get it to stop bleeding, you can apply pressure, and then it has like a special sealing glue around it that'll hold it. Because a normal bandage won't stick to blood. Like if blood is like down.
Oh, yeah.
So this one you can wipe the blood away, and like I guess the adhesive will still stick. But you still have to apply pressure.
Yeah.
It is just there to keep the blood from like just rushing everywhere. Wow. You can't just stick it and leave it alone. It's just like, hey, it just helps. It just helps the situation.
Yeah. I know this is going to sound really pedestrian, but I'm a big fan of the wellies.
Yeah. I mean,
the welly boo-boo kits.
You can get those at Costco and Sam's.
Right.
Like the big, they come with everything. Man.
Yeah. The orange one. Mm-hmm. It's the one that comes in orange tin, and it's pretty well equipped. I mean, the only thing that I think I had to add to it was like a bee sting kit. Mm-hmm. It doesn't come with anything for bees. And I think I added some Dramamine to mine. Not that you need Dramamine in the car, but some people get car sick, and Dramamine can help with that. So maybe snake bite kit, bug bite kit, sting kit, Dramamine, maybe some other little specialized medicines that might be unique to your situation would be good to add. But for the most part, for just the everyday cuts and scrapes of life and boo-boos, the wellies are very well equipped to just have on you at all times. Now, more of a blowout configuration. I mean, I do like to have some good gauze and compresses, and I do like to keep a couple of tourniquets on hand. I usually will add a tourniquet to the welly kit just in case. And I sort of just put it there and forget it's there. That way, you never know. If something's happening, and let's say you can't get to your main blowout kit as quickly, or like I keep these tourniquets here on my battle belt. Okay. These tourniquets right here. It's handy and it's nearby and it's available. And, obviously staging up your tourniquet in the proper way, too. I'm sitting here trying to pull on this thing from such a weird angle, but it does pop right out, of course. But staging the tourniquet properly, too. Don't leave the tourniquet just like in the plastic, because then you have to take it out of the plastic, undo the Velcro and put it. You need to stage the tourniquet properly, have it ready to apply. Okay, so don't just buy a tourniquet. Like, you need to stage it properly,
and you have to replace them. They don't last forever.
I think Skinny Medic Dietrich, he's got a bunch of videos on how to stage your tourniquet in the best way. So I would suggest checking out his content on staging your tourniquet. If you guys want to check that content out. But there's tons of great medical content out there that will teach you how to stage tourniquets, how to set your bag up in the most advantageous way to make everything easy to get to, tools that you need that maybe you might not consider, like people don't think about medical shears. I mean, if someone has a really bad wound, I carry medical shears on my battle belt. Look at this.
Oh, yeah, man.
Look at that. These are Leathermans.
You can do some battlefield amputations with that bad boy.
These are Raptors, and these are folding med shears, and they are great because you can, use these to. Let's see if I can. There we go. You can use these to cut the clothing off, and that's very important to be able to do, because you got to be able to get to the wound. Yeah. If someone's hurt, everyone just thinks, oh, you just push. Well, yeah, but you got to see it. You got to be able to cut the clothing away. So people forget about things like forceps and med shears. And what about gloves? Nitrile gloves. I mean, you're going to get your hands all in some blood. So
bloodborne diseases.
You want to,
if
you have the time and the intuition to do it, throw on some gloves. So those things, people don't think about those things. Look, wounds are gory, blood everywhere, so it's one of the things you got to consider. So I would say, there are content out there that will help you really set up an EDC or vehicle-borne medical kit that will put you, maybe beyond the boo-boo kit and into the entry-level blowout kit, but without, you're not going to be performing field surgery or anything on the side of the road. I think it's, I want to say it's either CRKT. I think it is CRKT, or it may be Havalon, the company Havalon. Okay. They do these portable scalpels.
Wow.
So it's a scalpel holder. It's like a folding pocket knife, but with an actual surgical scalpel.
It's like an X-Acto knife. Almost.
Yes.
Okay.
And they have interchangeable blades. And of course, the blades are hermetically sealed and sanitary and things like that. Now, I'm not suggesting that you would need to cut on someone. Not suggesting that. But sometimes having access to that is not a bad thing. I'll tell a quick story. I know we're kind of getting on time here, but one time we were at deer camp, and it wasn't down at Linton's place. It was somewhere else. It was just longer before that. But I was at deer camp, and somebody had forgot to bring some of their knives to dress a deer out. And I remember I had my Havalon in my blowout kit. And here I am dressing out a whole deer with a surgical scalpel.
Dude, that must have been easy. Like just
like a hot knife through butter. Dude, I'm telling you, it cut so well. And also gave you the confidence to know, like, wow, if I ever do have to cut with this knife, I know it's razor sharp. And I dressed out the whole deer with just a portable scalpel.
Nice, man. So, that, and I just wanted to touch on one thing.
Sure.
As far as tourniquets go, not everything requires a tourniquet. So I know if you guys are keeping up, I just wanted to bring this up. There's a big issue in Ukraine right now about people getting a lot of amputations because they're using tourniquets on wounds that don't necessarily need tourniquets. So these guys are showing up to the med station with like tourniquets on their arms, tourniquets on their legs, and they've been on there for a really long time. And they're losing arms and legs because they're using it as a catch-all. They're like, oh, he got hit in the arm, he got hit in the leg, or he has a wound on one of his extremities, put a tourniquet on it. And now they're putting out new information like, hey, not everything requires a tourniquet. Be a little bit smart about it. And I remember there's a lot of outdated information. And we actually, when we were in combat, we were told this, and it was like, at the time, it might have been good information, but it's bad information now.
It's the best we had at the time.
Yeah. And that was like, hey, if you're on a tourniquet, if we're on a mission, you can undo the tourniquet and let the blood kind of come back through and then reapply the tourniquet. So that way it has a better chance, the limb has a better chance of survival, which we know now probably isn't the best idea. But 20 years ago, guys, we're talking when we were in combat, it was like the Stone Age, man, compared to what it is now. I mean, as far as like advances in medical, advances in like everything.
You have to outweigh the possibility of dying versus the possibility of losing a limb.
Yes. Yeah.
You just may have to accept you're going to lose that limb, but you're going to live. So it's like, make your choice, but you're going to make it now.
Yeah.
You
forever
can't wait,
hold your peace, man.
I think we really covered a lot of good bases in today's show, and I know we could probably go on and discuss things at a little further detail, but I really wanted this to be about the importance of EDC. I mean, there's just been so many things going on, all these shootings and things. I think it's important to reiterate to people how important it is to make sure that you are well armed and well prepared and well versed in how to deal with medical emergencies. And that level of preparation is not always easy for an average person to have under their belt. Because, I mean, it's a lot of information to know. It's a lot of knowledge. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of capability that, quite frankly, look, we're all busy. We have jobs. We work hard. We take care of our families. We have many other things that we'd rather be doing than going out and training at the range or going out and taking medical classes. I get it. Like, I know some people place a very high emphasis on it, and I'm happy to have those people in society. But I don't blame the person who doesn't have the time to go out and really dive into all of this at a deeper level. I get that. I understand it. I guess the only thing I would say to those kind of people is just try to make an effort to slowly but surely increase your posture and increase your level of survivability. Even if you're anti-gun, I doubt you're watching this if you're anti-gun, but even if you hate guns, you should at least be well prepared medically. You can still help someone. You can still own body armor. You can still stop bullets. You can still, do all that. So, armor is one of the most passive ways you can protect yourself.
Absolutely.
So, don't think just because you don't own a gun, you should own a gun. But if you don't, it's okay to have armor and a blowout kit. At least you're more prepared than just someone who is going about with nothing at all.
That's right. And hopefully, our conversation today, obviously if you're watching the show, if you're, subscribed to the channel, you're in a very similar mindset as Eric and I. Hopefully we did a great job of explaining to you guys like our mentality. If you're watching the show, you are of the same mentality. So we don't have to convince you to carry every day, but to the new viewers, they're going to come in. Maybe they're looking for some confirmation bias of like, they're typing in, is it normal to carry a gun every day? And then our video pops up and it's like, yes, that is normal.
Yeah. And it's becoming more normal. I know we didn't really have a chance to talk about reciprocity or EDC in terms of constitutional carry and things. We have so many states that are constitutional carry now. It has really opened up the floodgates on our ability to exercise our rights and protect ourselves without the fear of government interference, or worse, without the fear of the government simply being able to say no.
That's right.
Because some places are a shall not issue, won't issue state, or they have very strict standards on what you have to go through. And that can be a very daunting thing for a person to go through if they're new to guns and now they're hit with all of these strict criteria that they have to go through. I think it's purposely designed to cause a person to kind of want to go, well, I thought about it and maybe I don't want a gun after all. And that's the problem. The barrier of entry should be way, way lower and easier to make it easier for people to exercise their rights on a regular basis. And I think that we're seeing now a much greater environment for that to occur than what it was 20, 30 years ago. So it's definitely getting better.
Absolutely.
Yep. Anything else before we head on, Matt?
No, I mean, just real quick. I know that you were talking about, you brought up a good point about, hopefully, just because if you're anti-gun or, you don't want to carry a gun and you're choosing to delegate that to somebody else, that's perfectly fine. Not everybody wants to do that. Feel free to delegate that to those that, will do it for you. But I would just ask that just because you chose to delegate your safety to somebody else, don't force and vote to force other people to have to delegate when they're perfectly capable to do it themselves.
I think that's a very astute observation. I mean, I agree. I think that it's okay for a person to have some introspection and say, you know what, maybe I don't want to own a gun. I'm not safe. I'm not capable. I'm not trained. It's okay to just admit, hey, maybe you shouldn't have one, or maybe you don't trust yourself with one. Whatever the reason is,
you don't feel comfortable.
Your reason for not wanting to have a gun is just as valid as my reason for wanting to have a gun.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. I'm not going to hate someone that doesn't choose to be a gun owner, but I think it's very counterproductive to stop people or want to stop people who actually do have the training and mentality to be an asset to society with a gun. So, and I think honestly, the tides are turning a lot on that. I think that in reality, when you go about your everyday world, I think more people are certainly more open to people carrying than they were in the past. I think, I think the tides are turning.
I would agree 100%.
Yeah, I really do. Thanks so much for tuning in. We've got many more episodes on the way, lots of stuff going on. So we will see you guys next week. Have a great one. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Life, Liberty, and Pursuit. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else podcasts are found. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate that. You can support us over on Ballistic Ink by picking yourself up some merch. And remember, guys, danger is freedom. Have a good one.